Fred. I'm also an independent filmmaker, and you are here for the Indie Filmmakers Survival Guide. Yeah! We have a variety of filmmakers here, some with films in production, some with films that have completed and are out in the world. We're going to talk to all of them, and then we're going to take your questions where we can help you get your independent film made. Why? Because we are living in a golden age of independent film. While the Hollywood strikes were raging and debates were going back and forth about the use of AI in Hollywood movies, independent filmmakers can do whatever the fuck they want. And they can use AI and new tools and use cameras like the one being used right now by Tyler to shoot this panel. There are tools available for you to make an independent film that is same level of quality as a Hollywood production. I'm going to allow everyone here to introduce themselves, plug their projects at the top and their socials, so we can get that out of the way. Then we'll get into our discussion, starting here with Walter Areas, who was a producer on a film that I worked on as other projects. So, Walter, sure.
Yeah, I was a producer on Attack of the Doc, and currently in production on Dual Animal, a sci-fi fantasy anthology, Volume 1.
My name is Bobby Schwartz. I was also a producer on Attack of the Doc, the editor as well, and Walter and I are both co-publishing, as he mentioned, Dual Animal Anthology Volume 1. We had a little teaser that came out a couple of years ago. We are now kickstarting the first full volume. There's about 11 artists, 8 writers. We have people who've never made a comic before working on it. We have people who just recently started doing some work for DC who are working on it. Really cool stuff. It's all creator first. I think it fits in with the theme of this panel. It's all about feeding the independent creation community, creators first. There's a lot of things that have come out recently that are very like concept over content, and we want to do both. So, yeah.
Awesome. You can find
yes, at Dual Animal, dualanimal.com. If you want a free download of our teaser issue, come talk to us after the panel.
Awesome. Ramesh Iyer, I'm a DJ commercial director, directed over probably 150, 200 commercials, music videos, work with mainly celebrities, sports celebrities, did some Netflix promos, did the last Bud Light campaign that hasn't seen the light of day. Just worked with Brett the Hitman Hart for Amazon, that's coming out soon. Yeah, and I'm here to learn as much as talk as well, so I'm happy to be here. I'm a fan of all these guys. And I'm Bon Iyer on Instagram. So, cool.
Hi, I'm Jim Agnew, or James Agnew sometimes. I took that for Cameron. Couldn't decide. I'm a Double J member. I've produced, maybe a dozen films, worked with Nick Cage, Adrian Brody, quite a bit of good people, and optioned or sold probably, I don't know, I tried to count the other day, maybe 40 scripts. So I've done all right in independent film, so I know a few things. And I'm on Instagram, James J. Agnew.
I am Erin Anya. I am an actress and producer and co-owner of our independent production company, Big Squid Productions. I have been acting since I was a child. I've been in a range of projects from Vampire Diaries to Revolution, and most recently, feature film ZombieCon, which we have been producing.
World premiering tomorrow at room 411 at 3 o'clock, if you'd like to check it out.
You have a booth here at the con, right? Could you let everyone know the booth?
Yeah, absolutely. The booth number is 616. We'd love to invite you guys over, share the story of how we made the film. Like Chris was saying, it is really a renaissance for independent filmmakers, and this film was made the most independently of any film. Mainly because I did every single job myself. Yeah, I'm a little bit groggy. I was up for the last 2 weeks, getting an average about 2 to 3 hours of sleep a night, as I'm sure if you've made an independent film, you're quite aware this is how it works.
Oh, yeah.
So, caffeine, all caffeinated over here.
And our socials are at ZombieCon Movie and at Big Squid Films.
And I have to compliment you on the teaser. You sent it to me yesterday. It is hysterical. I don't want to describe it. It's like a zombie outbreak at a convention. It's kind of.
It's got cosplayers versus zombies. Again, independent film. Didn't have the budget to do the outbreak at the convention, as you can imagine. But it does have a convention in it, so great.
Before we open it up to questions, because I mostly want this to be Q&A related, I'm going to ask one question of everyone on the panel, and we have a lot of experience here. We have people that are more experienced, people at the beginnings of their careers, but I have one question I want to ask everyone on the panel, however you want to respond to this. Your closest friend, someone you would never bullshit, is about to make their first movie. Independent movie, whatever level. What is the one piece of advice you give that person? We'll start with Kyle and we'll move our way down, but everybody could respond to that. What's the one piece of advice, the one thing they must know before they start their project?
20% of everything you budget, time, money, resources, anything. It does not exist until you absolutely need it. Put it away. It's not there. You will need it. You will hit problems that you can't solve without finding more money or finding more time. I know. Having that will save you in many, many ways. So that would be my one piece of advice.
Yeah.
You're going to get extremely overwhelmed, and there are going to be problems on problems on problems. There's going to be a lot of highs and a lot of lows. Take a moment to breathe and know that your best is enough.
I'm completely cynical, so I'm going to say learn as
Don't
much.
do it.
No, I'm going to say know as much about the business as you can before you spend money. Try to learn as much as you can because people forget about the business side. And it's just as complicated to sell a $100,000 movie or make it as it is a $10 million movie. It's the same amount of work, same amount of going through the hoops to sell it, distribute it, all that stuff. So business.
On that note, Jim, just real quick, we finished the movie, the three of us together, Attack of the Dock, and one of the things I was told, you gotta get insurance. And it's anywhere from $5,000 to $30,000 and more. You only need insurance if the distributor requires it. So, sorry to break it to you guys, we don't have insurance.
Don't sue us, please.
But our project was vetted by an attorney that I strongly recommend. We'll get into that later.
But you're talking about E&O insurance,
Right.
not production insurance.
Exactly.
Those are two separate things, folks. Don't do a movie without insurance. You
Right.
can't rent cameras or do anything. So.
E&O insurance is errors and omissions. It's anything that you forget, and you will forget something, and someone could have a frivolous lawsuit, but we've been very lucky, and no one's tried to sue us yet. So, Ramesh.
I would actually say the opposite of what you said, is don't let all that bullshit get in your way of making a film. Whether you have $50,000 or $5,000, I take the Razorhead approach, which he spent $10,000 to make a Razorhead. Yeah, it took him 5 years, or El Mariachi or Brothers McMullen. Just make your film. You'll figure out a way to make it, but back into the money you have and just make it. You will learn everything along the way, everything you need to do. You don't need to read books. You don't need to get all that information. Just make your film. Tell your story, and then the next time you'll make your next film. That's what you have to have your eyes on. The next film after this film, and that's how you learn.
I like it. Don't read books. Just write that down. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I would say surround yourself with people that you trust. I see a lot of people right when they're getting into it act very like my way or the highway, and it can cause productions to crumble. And if you surround yourself with people you trust, like your idea does not always have to be the best. The best idea wins. Be prepared to be flexible. Things are not going to go exactly as you planned, but that can be an amazing place to for your idea to grow and for you to leverage something better than you originally thought. Economic storytelling is really important.
I mean, you could be starting to make a movie and suddenly there's a pandemic.
Has that happened?
That happened to us.
Yeah. Just be adaptable. Be prepared to roll with the changes and the punches, and you'll be a lot happier at the end of your project.
I mean, on a similar note, check your ego out the door. Don't ever feel like something is too below you.
Have a little ego.
Just enough to make the movie made. But know that you're gonna have to take on new skill sets, and you're gonna have to get outside of the hole. That's not my problem. I don't know how to do this, because you're gonna have to learn how to do this.
That's good. I'm filled with pieces of advice, but I would want to scale it specifically to your questions and your projects. I'll tell you a weird story. When I asked one of the biggest, most successful directors in Hollywood, I asked him the same question. And the response was a little strange. I'm just gonna sort of give you the thumbnail or the quick notes of what he said. He said, here's what you do. We're gonna have a big film set. You hire a young, attractive woman who's wearing a belly shirt. And whenever you have bad things to tell the crew, like we have to work overtime, send that girl to give the bad news. That sounds like a horribly sexist, awful thing to say, but one of us is a millionaire and it's not me. So I'll just say that. Take that advice the way you will. Now, here's what we're gonna do. All of you are here for a reason. Indie Filmmaker Survival Guide. What are the things you need to know? Filmmakers always get stuck in a certain place, and usually it's a couple of the same places. A lot of filmmakers have the same problems. Usually it's at the beginning of the process. How do I write? How do I do this? Or it's money. How do I get money? I mean, the real answer is when you ask an indie filmmaker, how much money do you need? It's like, well, how much do you have? I'll make the movie for that amount, right? Like you were saying, Ramesh. The other thing is distribution. And I know that we all can respond to all of those things. For example, I'll just tell you our project that we finished. A couple of places that you can go to for distribution. I strongly recommend that the movie that you make is legally vetted, meaning you have the rights and you can sell the product that you have finished making. I do recommend getting an attorney, and some of the places that we went to, there's a company called Film Hub. You can look up filmhub.com. You want to sell your movie on Amazon, YouTube, iTunes, that's how you do it. Film Hub is a platform to help indie filmmakers get their movie onto all of those places where people can buy it, right? It's called TVOD, Transaction Video on Demand. There's also AVOD. For example, our film also, Attack of the Doc, which you can get at attackofthedoc.com, is available as a Blu-ray. You can also rent it in those sources, but also it will be on Tubi next month, I think later in the month of December, which is an ad-driven. I don't know if you've seen Tubi is running like ads during the NFL. They're doing this big push as a streaming service. Another company I at least want to explore is a company called Indie Rights. That's the company that distributed our movie. And I'm not saying that's the one that's the fit for you, but it'll teach you something. If you go to indierights.com, they have a link directly to their distribution deal. Why do you need to read that? You need to understand it. I'm not an attorney, but believe me, I've looked at contracts and I've looked at enough of them where I can understand it. I know you know what I'm talking about, Jim. You read enough contracts, even you're a writer, producer, but you look at these things, and director. You look at these things after a while, you know the red flags to look for. Indie Rights actually puts their distribution deal on their website. I recommend download it, look at it. The other document that's important is deliverables. Deliverables are, what are all the things, the key things you need to sell your movie? And those things are going to be a poster that's marketable, a trailer, and there's technical specs for all of these things. A couple of stills, a synopsis of various lengths, and the movie itself. And that's pretty much, that's the short list. You're going to need some other things. So I want to point you to those sources right now. I'm not saying you make a deal with Indie Rights or Film Hub. I'm saying at least you can talk to them now about exactly what your expectations are. Now what I'm going to do, because you have something to say, it looks like Jim.
I was just going to add also too that there's two things what you was talking about. You've got to make sure it's your chain of title, who owns the movie, make sure it's legally done with probably a lawyer, and copyright everything. I don't know how many people, because if you copyright something, here's the thing, if you don't copyright, you're fucked. But you're fucked in a different way, because if you sue somebody and you copyright something, you can also sue them if they screw you and sue for legal fees. You can't if you're not copyrighting something. So don't take your scripts and send them to the WGA and all that bullshit. Just copyright. Spend $65 all along the way. Copyright the film. Copyright everything.
The other thing I would recommend, I get this, one of the most common questions on our YouTube channel, my co-host Alan Ing the Merciless, is here. I would recommend send him your movie. Go to filmthread.com. Send Alan your film. He can help you get coverage. I have an extra thing I was going to say on that. But what I want to do is this. Oh yeah, screenwriters. A website I would recommend if you want to connect. You're a screenwriter, let's say. You want to connect with a producer. One of the websites to do that is a website called inktip.com. Inktip.com, the purpose of that website is to connect your screenplay with producers. Like if someone says, I need a horror movie, it's set on a lake with like 8 people. And you might have a script that fits that description. You'd be shocked how many times of a producer friend saying, do you know anyone who has a script? And you'll give me a log line like I know somebody. I don't, but there are producers who look for things like that. Inktip.com is a great connection resource. I'm filled with a lot of this type of advice, but I want to hear from you. So come right here on this side of the, if you wouldn't mind like stepping right here, let's form a line. This is this space here. Imagine a sphere next to me. It's the sphere of destiny. Right here in this sphere where you may reside, in this sphere, come up and you can ask any question for anyone on this panel. You've got people filled with advice that they could give. Yes, yeah. I know there are resources you need, there are things you don't know. Come here, stand within the sphere.
And face your destiny.
Face your destiny and ask. Here's the thing, I used to do this exercise. You know what? No, I'm saying, you know what, it's fine. I used to,
sidebar first.
the big question people have, most of the questions are, I need money for my movie. So I once did this panel where I had people line up and ask me for $1 million. And I told all of them no, because I made them argue and debate with me why the movie project they were pitching was worth me giving them $1 million. Why should I give you $1 million? Tell me right now. It helps filmmakers to come up with their pitch, their elevator pitch, right? Like you're asking me, Jim, you've worked on projects with a lot of money. Like, what are the ranges? Can you talk about that a bit? And Ramesh, I'd like to hear you on this as well.
Anywhere from like 500,000 to 10 million. So,
Right.
Yeah.
$10 million. You can buy a lot with $10 million.
Yeah.
And you can make a movie, which could be a waste of money.
Yeah, but I mean, what you're saying about trying to talk to people about getting money, there's two things you should understand. Is understand how to pitch it to them as a tax write-off. and then explain a rebate state. Because if you spend, to make the math easy, about $1 million in Kentucky, and you do everything right, you can get 30% back. So they're only spending $700,000 for $1 million movie, which then they can write off the rest. You have to kind of educate yourself on that stuff. You don't have to be an expert. You just have to kind of know the basics and say, and the accountants will handle it from there. But that's
just enough to win the room.
Yeah, exactly.
I was going to say, from a creative standpoint, there was a guy I know, he was an actor, screenwriter, and he couldn't get hired on features, so he created his own feature, and he's raised a lot of money, and he said, you don't pitch your idea. What you do is you take a time machine into the future where your movie is already successful, and when you pitch it, you say, I'm not selling you an idea, I'm letting you in on a good deal. You just don't know it yet, and that's how he approached it. That's great.
On that also, just having raised money in the past, one of the things I've learned is that people who have disposable types of money for a tax write-off, you're really in many ways appealing to their ego because they want to be able to tell their friends at the country club, I invested in an independent film. And they want to go to parties and they want to go to film festivals. So I see you nodding here. Did you want to add to this? I saw you nod. Was that okay?
Oh, no, I think you're absolutely right. People love to walk the red carpet, and especially going with the belly shirt comment from earlier, usually on the arm of a starlet, or rich women out there love to be seen with hunks, and honestly, these days, anyone loves to be seen with anyone who's attractive in any way, what shape or form. So different sizes, different shapes. The human body is a
Wonderland?
it's an interesting thing.
Well, in lieu of now, here's I have a question. How many people here want to make an independent film? Okay. Here's the deal. The sphere is here, it's open. Only one person can get into it. Why are you sitting in your chair if this is
Line
the
up
dream
now.
that you have? This is the goal that you have. Get up here in the sphere.
Maybe they already have.
Okay, now you can fight Hunger Games style. But I want to hear your specific questions, and anyone on this panel who's got something that will actually help you, I want to hear from you. So step up, give us your name, and ask your question to the panel. And yeah, I want to see people getting out of their seats. This is a good opportunity for you to talk to people in the industry, because we all here we want to help you. We want to help all of you. Let's go.
Thank you very much. I'm really loving the sphere. It's very nice and cozy. My name is Mark. Thank you guys for your time today. My question, I've been running into this. I've been realizing lately that films are really hard to explain from a business perspective, because I went to business school. That's my background. I work in corporate America. When you're starting a business, it's pretty simple to figure out where the money's coming from. Like, make a sandwich shop, your money's coming from sandwiches. When you're talking about the business of a film project, I guess my question is, what are the most common ways to create revenue?
Okay, that's a very good question. Thank you. Mark, right? Mark? Yeah.
Do I stay in the sphere?
Stay in the sphere. Stay in this bubble. There are many revenue streams for a movie, right? Jim, I see you. Ansi, why don't you answer?
No, I was gonna say a lot of it has to do with the budget too. It's like if you're doing $100,000 horror movie, it's a little bit different if you're spending $1 million. But what you always want to try to do is create urgency, either going to film festivals or something. What you want to get is what's called an MG, a minimum guarantee, which basically they're buying the movie out from you. Let's say you got a cool horror movie, they're like, we'll give you $250, you made it for $100, great. You just made a profit. And you may never see another dollar again, but at least you've got that money. So that we kind of get the weeds with that. I don't want to get the weeds with that, but it depends on the budget and kind of there's a big difference between you making a $25,000 movie and, $2.5 million.
Can I ask a follow-up to that, please? So you said minimum guarantee, that's if someone's buying it from you. What if you want to own the rights to it?
Well, technically you still own the right. You're licensing it for a period of time.
Okay.
But you can also try, if you make a small movie, you can put it up on Amazon or something yourself and try to just create, as Chris was saying, there's many websites where you own it, the money that comes in for, but then you got to promote it and do all those other things that you don't have that infrastructure.
I'll give you a quick example. There's a movie that was in theaters about a year ago called Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey.
Yeah.
Did anyone see it?
Well,
It was a piece of shit, but it was made for $60,000 and it was released in theaters through Fathom Events. And I was there in a packed theater. And so, yeah, you shouldn't dismiss little films like that.
that company's business model, by the way, we should tell you guys this. If you pitch them a movie, they will pay for it, buy it from you. You never see another dollar again, but you get to make your movie. That's how they work.
What's the company and what's their phone number?
It's Stu's company. I forget what it's called. Stu Alton. It's just look it up. But that's their business model. You can pitch them something, and they'll say, "Okay, we'll give you $100,000, but you will never see another. It can make $100 million. You'll never see another dollar." That's what they do. That's why they make all those movies.
It's not a terrible model if you're entering the industry. It's not bad. Let's give Mark a hand. He survived the real testing. All right. Next up, tell us your name and ask our man.
Hey, what's up? How y'all doing today? What's up, everybody? My name is Jamal Dennis. Wanted to know, how do you find the funding, find the producers and the investors to invest in your film?
That's a great question. Jamal asks, how do you find investors?
Like you guys.
We did a combination of things, going to obviously first friends and families, trying to pillage the coffers of everyone we know, support our passion project, followed by an Indiegogo, trying to raise as much support through that avenue as possible, and then really just we lucked into, through kind of pursuing a multitude of options, one investor who was tangentially related to kind of friends and family area. And they saw promise, they saw what we had done with the Indiegogo thing, and they saw the effort that was put in. They had seen the projects that we had done previous to that, and they felt like supporting us was a good idea, and they did. So, don't be discouraged if you don't necessarily get what you want out the gate from one person or another. Keep at it, keep hammering at it, and that dedication, that effort, that's what it takes to make the film. And that's also going to be maybe the way to open the door to an investor that you may not see coming. So.
Anyone else have a response to this?
It was funny, I had a friend who was raising a film that they wanted to shoot all on the volume, and they said they couldn't get any money, and then they put their own money in, but said it was from an investor. And they said psychologically, no investor wants to be the first person in. So once they saw that they had gotten some money, even though it was their own, they didn't tell anyone, they had people in. And Bernardo Bertolucci has a great quote where he said, the best director is the one who can raise the money for the film.
That's great. Thank you, Jamal. That's great. If we can come up with more, because I feel like that question is going to come up more. Anyone? Oh wait, do you have a comment? Yeah.
You're building your resume. Even if you're shooting something small, tiny, even if you don't know where it's going to go, you're learning, and then you have more and more to show. And the two things feed into each other, and you get more experience, and then more people see you getting better, and it just feeds into itself. So make it. Even if it's small, even if it's just a teaser, shoot it and make it and keep going.
All right, cool, thank you. And that's film Indiegogo or just go?
Indiegogo or Kickstarter, any kind of, they change in terms of what they're kind of offering, what they take, et cetera. So I would just kind of read the fine print and see who's offering the best deal.
Appreciate that.
Give Jamal a hand.
Hi, I'm Andrew. And I have a question about distribution. So I'm making a 20-minute short film right now, and I'm shooting starts for 2 weeks. And you mentioned a few websites to check out, and I was wondering, because there's so many new platforms out here now, I'm thinking like YouTube, for example. Is there any merit to one path over another? Because I was thinking originally that we would post it on YouTube, and I'm looking just to get people to watch it, not to make any money off of it. So like YouTube versus trying to get it shown at a film festival versus trying to get it shown in theaters versus streaming service, etc. Is there any merit to one or the other, and what would you all recommend?
Thank you, Andrew, for your question. I would recommend film festivals. When it comes to short films, film festivals, you're going to get attention. Don't put it on YouTube yet. Make sure your festival run is over. The other thing is there's a company called shorts.tv. They distribute short films and they will pay you money for it. They're not the only one. There's another company called Apollo Cinema. Check them out. But shorts.tv, actually, every year they release all of the Oscar-nominated short films in theaters in limited release. It's a streaming service that only streams short films. So I actually go to the theater and I see all the nominated shorts. It's animation, live action, and documentary short. I see them in the theater because shorts.tv puts them out. So look up that website and contact them. They're a great resource. Anyone else on shorts? Short films?
I was just going to say, kind of, you already said it, but it does depend on what your objective is with the short. If, like you said, your priority is just exposure, people seeing it. Like Chris said, I would say YouTube actually is a great resource if that's all you're looking to do, but it would help to test out the film festival environment first, because obviously if you post on YouTube, you can't take it to festivals, but yeah, pursue both options for sure.
So I took this class, this guy named Doug Simmons, and he taught, I think, the class Tarantino took and Christopher Nolan, and he said his first line is, "Shorts don't make money. Don't tell me about your short." He said it in a much meaner way than me. But it's a calling card. There's two things. It's a calling card, or you're trying to sell your feature, like Whiplash, right? Whiplash was a script that was on the blacklist. Jason Reitman was one of the producers. He said, okay, we're going to do a short based on the script because we can't get the script made, and that's how they went retroactively to do it. Other people, I have a friend who's like creating a comic book and he wants to create his own IP and then make a short or a film based on that IP. So there's a strategic things around the short. So great question, whoever said that. You have to figure out why you're making that short. And it's not what's your real end result.
To jump off of that, literally what we're doing right now with the comic book, the whole point of it is effectively making the comic book in of itself is really cool, but then we have like a hardbound, like a printed version, like everything is storyboarded. We can put it on someone's desk and say, like, these could be shorts. And, so our objective is to get people interested while having like a lower overhead than shooting the short and seeing if they'd like to buy it afterwards.
And going off what you said, Bobby, there's a group of filmmakers that are here who made a movie that actually went to Sundance. They're from Australia. The directors of Talk to Me. I don't know if you saw Talk to Me, the horror film. Did anyone see it? I thought it was awesome. That was one of the best horror films this year. Talk to Me 2 is coming out, and they were promoting it here. Those guys did shorts on YouTube. They did shorts on YouTube forever, and then they just decided they kept getting demonetized because their shorts are like really, like they go too far when it comes to horror, some would say, not me, but whatever. But yeah, no, I love those filmmakers. They're great. They're here promoting the sequel to Talk to Me, so check that movie out. They were just short filmmakers on YouTube. Suddenly, boom, to make a movie that's at Sundance, and it got distributed by A24. So, Andrew, thank you for your question. I hope that helps.
Yeah, definitely does.
Big applause for Andrew.
I'm James, and I just wanted to know how do you handle burnout or any other mental health issues? It's a good thing. Yeah, I know that filming is stressful, and I know if and when I do make my own film, I'm not going to come out of it unscathed. But how do you do it so that it doesn't end up killing you?
Well, James, yeah, exactly. I think Bobby has it like, no, well, I was going to say, you mentioned earlier, David Lynch spent 10 years making Eraserhead.
Yeah.
It was a crazy story. You should read the story of how he made Eraserhead. It was like his college project, and then it blew up. Yeah.
I'll just say you're already starting in a great place, knowing you're not going to come out unscathed. A lot of new filmmakers are very naive about the process because they haven't gone through it yet, and I think underestimate how brutal it can be, but also how satisfying being adaptable, like I mentioned earlier, through that through rolling with the punches can make it once you get through the other side of it. Definitely be aware that it's going to be tough. I don't know if I know the answer to like working through burnout yet because I have a different song.
Sorry, I've been working on this film for like 7 years now, so it's been a long journey, and burnout has been something that we've dealt with a lot. Lots of close, almost sales, recutting a movie, tearing it apart, putting it back together again, redoing all the VFX, etc. It's something that you have to be aware of, but it's something you got to learn to deal with. So I'd say learn to eat stress. You're going to get stressed out. You're going to run up against deadlines. You're going to run out of money. If you can turn that into a weapon for yourself to push yourself forward, that's the best way to deal with it, because there's no way of getting around the stress. You just got to learn how to turn it into something for positive as opposed to it pulling you back. And I don't know how you do that for yourself. It's different for everyone.
And the more you eat stress, the better it starts tasting. Actually, your palate gets used to it.
Well, and I'll say this. Also, you don't make a movie, right? Like, you don't write a book. You write 1,000 words. Then the next day you write another 1,000 words. And then if you write 1,000 words a day in a month, you have 30,000 words. That's half of a book. Everything is a piece. You're not trying to make a movie. You're trying to do one little piece and one little piece. So my recommendation is take the project you're trying to make, break it down into the tiniest tasks. So every day you're doing something. And then I'm all about like positive affirmation. I think it actually works. So put up a Post-it note of a thing you want to focus on, like never quit. Because there are a lot of filmmakers, we never saw their movies.
Call your editor every day and tell him to never quit.
Yeah, exactly. Never quit, Bobby. Please don't quit. So that is the thing, is break the project down into its tiniest pieces Even if it's like I'm gonna write for 3 hours a day, every day. If I get 0, I get 0. But if I get a page, that's one more page to get my 100-page script or whatever it is. So never quit and break things down into pieces that can help. And then stress sort of comes with it. And that's what I would say. I hope that helps. Let's give James a big round of applause.
What we said earlier as well, having, even if you're the sole editor on the film, it doesn't matter, just have people in your life that you can talk to. You don't need to walk them through every last thing that you're doing. You know, they might not be there actually helping you, but having some kind of outlet that you know you have people that you love and trust around you will give you a sense of calm and purpose that you don't give into the feelings of stress that, yes, you're inevitably going to feel.
To build on that, while we were working on our movie, my roommate was our production coordinator. And so he knew how important it was to be available to me every time I wanted to like just emotionally dump all of my editing work. So it's not the healthiest, but we got through.
Great. All right. Your name and question.
Hey everybody, I'm Alejandro Irizarry, and I guess as someone just getting started on the kind of writer-director journey, what are the kind of ways you went about building like your team of your like closest collaborators when you first got started, and then how did that process evolve as you kind of moved up and kind of started making bigger and bigger films?
That's a great question. Alejandro asks, how do you build your team? It's interesting. You look at even Scorsese, as long as his career is, still likes working with the same people. Who wants to address this? Anyone want to building your team?
Piece by piece. You'll find people in your life. When I first moved to Los Angeles, I ended up living with someone. She's on SNL now. So you never know who's going to go where and who's going to do what. And if you find someone that you connect with, that you vibe with, maybe they're not into film right now. Maybe they've got a different skill set. Maybe you can talk about ideas, get people excited, get people into it. You never know what is going to happen down the road. But whenever you do find those people, keep them close.
To build on that, I think and I'm just gonna take what everybody says and say it in a different way each time I come. Wear your ambition, your passion on your sleeve, because it'll do exactly that. It'll attract like minds if you are sort of maybe not pitching yourself, but if you're passionate about it, people who are willing to feel the same way about the project will find you.
Or if you're at a bar and they accidentally give you 2 beers instead of 1, give a beer to the guy sitting next to you. That's how Bobby and I met.
Yeah, he'll be your end.
They brought me 2 beers instead of 1. I'm like, do you want this?
Yes.
And I think we just, I don't know, formed a friendship. And like-minded people, it's also people that you actually genuinely like being around. I think with indie film, you have the choice. When you work in the corporate world, you are forced to work with some people who can be total assholes. And with indie film, you choose your team. You build your team. And it can be stressful. It shouldn't feel like work. I mean, there'll be times where it does, but it should also be fun. So, Alejandro, thank you for your question. I hope that helps. Great. Big applause for him.
Very good question. On a film set, how do you guys make and maintain a set where people are like happy, eager, and excited to work on the project?
Okay, good question.
Make it a party atmosphere. Make it fun. You can't be, doggedly like pushing people to the edge. Like you hear all these authoritative directors who are like, cracking the whip metaphorically. On an indie film set, it's got to be a party and a film set at the same time. At the end of the day, you as the person who's kind of holding the reins might need to crash and like have a mental breakdown and write everything down and figure it out. But you gotta encourage the crew and the cast of, guys, go party, let's get some drinks, let stress out. Just let loose. And as long as you get a good group of people together, it kind of self-manifests, because party people, like people who are making movies, we're fun people. That's why we make movies. So you get those people together, you put them in a room, and then you let them loose, maybe with some pizza and beer and, vodka. Preferably vodka. Yeah. It goes well.
I would say on that, there's I love Quentin Tarantino. You can go down a rabbit hole of interviews with Quentin. One of the things, if you see documentaries about Quentin, you can find whole montages of him on every film set he's ever been on. he always repeats this thing, usually at the end of the day, and this is why we love making movies. And the whole cast and crew like screams this. He loves it so much. He chants this on a daily basis. I'm sure you've seen the videos. Ramesh, I'm sorry, you had something to add.
Well, all I was going to say is, yeah, I have the enthusiasm of a child. And people, you can be I don't think it's about being a dictator, and I know it's a leader. I think it's about being a big brother for everyone, or big sister. And I think part of also making your team, I've done big budgeted commercials. I wanted to do music videos, so during the pandemic, when all the commercials died, I started doing music videos. Like half those people would not answer my calls, and I had worked with them a lot because there was no money in it. But the ones who stayed, or I would get people who had all the enthusiasm and maybe not all the experience, and it's because it's not rocket science, let me tell you. And so that was a way to get people involved, get them enthusiastic, but just have a clear vision and be passionate about it. And then realize that everyone has something to contribute. I met this guy, Peter Weir, and he had this great quote. He would say, "I believe in egoless filmmaking."
Let's give David a big round of applause. Thank you so much.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Josh Harris. I'm a co-producer and first AD on Uncanny that's showing tomorrow, the X-Men film. Please go see it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Congrats.
Thank you. To that end, actually, I'm wondering, when you make a fan film like that with existing IP, is there any way to get it distributed anywhere else other than YouTube?
That's a good question. I don't know, but I love fan films. I love Grayson. I think influenced Zack Snyder quite a bit. Does anyone know about the fan film Grayson? It's about Dick Grayson, and look it up. It will inspire you. There's even a behind-the-scenes making of on the Filmmakers channel. So many filmmakers. I mean, I think fan films are important. In terms of legally, I don't know. Do you guys have?
I mean, no, you're screwed legally. But on the other side of that, have you guys seen that Dark Knight fan film that's on YouTube?
Yeah.
I've known Wyatt like 30 years, the guy who made it, Wyatt Wheat, and he parlayed that into getting some gigs.
I'm from St. Louis. So
Wyatt, Ted Smith, all those crazy guys.
Yeah.
I know those guys. But yeah, Wyatt's done well with that. He knew he couldn't monetize it. They just did it out of love.
Yeah, and I knew the guys who did the Kenobi film with Jane Costa. It was really talented, amazing. And then they went and did a Robin Williams short film too that they wanted to make a feature. Those, the director's trying to use it as a calling card. Everyone's trying to use it as their calling card. Their hope is that, maybe they'll get picked up to do a Star Wars film. That's never going to happen. But yeah, you're doing it to get your name out there. You're doing it to get eyeballs. That's it. That's what your goal should be.
So check out Uncanny tomorrow. What time?
It's tomorrow at 2 o'clock at the Geek Fest in New Hampshire.
Check that out. Josh, thank you for your question.
Thank you, guys.
Big applause.
My name is Alexis De La Rosa. The fun part about being near the back of the line is you actually get a lot of your questions answered before you get out. But I'm at a point in my career, I'm an actor, and now I'm starting to get into producing and everything like that. And I've got a web series, we've got a short that we want to shoot next year. Question about money again, but this is a situation where I actually have a partner who has his own sound stage. I have a line producer who's actually really good at it, but nobody's ever busted out, So my question is, how do you sell that?
Whew, that's a really good question.
Selling someone to line produce for you?
No. Selling the fact that you've actually got more resources than just a film to pitch, right? One of my partners owns a sound stage. It's basically, if you give me the money, I'll take care of the rest, right? You don't have to get. Is that something that even matters? Do investors care?
In big films, it's called soft money. And it means that you have free stuff, basically. Yeah. So you could make a business plan and say, I'm just using bad math there. It would cost $200,000 to make, but we've got $100,000 free stuff, so we only need $100,000 from you. So basically for $100,000, you're getting $200,000 movie. That's how you pitch it, and that's called soft money.
Okay.
That stuff.
Very cool. Can I make a quick comment about the party atmosphere on the set?
Please.
I directed a music video for my buddy's band, and I needed like 25 zombie extras. Right? He had like $500 to barely cover the pizza. But we made it so fun. I made it so fun that when it was wrapped, no one wanted to leave. Keep in mind, no one was getting paid. So yeah, keep it a party.
I want to add a quick note to that because I wanted to say this earlier as well. One of my favorite memories on ZombieCon that we were shooting, and it was a very grueling 1 month shoot, was at the end of a very long, hard day. Kyle said, "All right, guys, we're calling it. Everyone, let's order pizza. Let's have drinks." And the entire cast and crew went downstairs into our bedroom and were huddled together on our bed and couch. Well, when we had stuff everywhere, of course, because we were shooting in our house as well, we were gathered around the computer watching dailies and takes of what we had just shot. And it warmed everyone's hearts and enthusiasm so much that it's like we came back the next day with more energy, even though we were absolutely exhausted. Still one of my favorite memories.
That's great. Could you tell us maybe some films you did?
I directed Talk to Me. So yeah, I was really lucky to work with a really passionate producer, and like having her help develop the script and help like really push things over the line was so helpful to us as filmmakers. Is there like where's a place that you would recommend to find like-minded producers that are just as passionate or looking for projects that will sink their soul into something? Like for that and for a script editor. Asking for a friend who's going to do first-time feature.
Well, first of all, you should tell us. I mean,
we should be asking you if we swap spots.
You should be up here. I mean, Talk to Me was, I don't know if you saw the review on Film Thread. Loved it. We loved it. I've seen your shorts on YouTube, which I think are amazing. The one where you did of the Avengers, I thought was so funny. What is the name of that short?
Marvel vs. DC.
Yeah.
Marvel vs. DC is so hilarious, but the effects are amazing. Yeah. I forgot the question. Yeah.
Where do you find like-minded producers and
There's like a website or a hub where there's upcoming producers that you know are going to sink their soul into something.
I wish they would collect them all for us, right?
Yeah.
Jim,
you know what I always tell people is when they're trying to get stuff made, they send things out to just producers, big producers. Obviously, laser focus on something. Like if you have a horror movie that's like The Omen, find a producer who's done something like that. And something that's not too big, like a Blumhouse film or something. More likely you'll get some traction, and maybe the associate producer. So try to target those people. Don't go targeting, Lawrence Bender or some giant producer. Try to get people who are on their way up, but have a little bit of experience. That's what I would say.
And tell us about Talk to Me Too. For my own curiosity, I know that the film it's done, right? Or tell us, give us a little tease.
Yeah, I made Talk to Me, and while writing that, got excited about the script and the characters, and naturally just started expanding on the world. So I've got like a first pass for a first draft of Talk to Me too, but that's not going to be our next film. I've written another horror film called Bring Her Back, which I want to be next for Talk to Me. So I think we'll shoot that first before Talk to Me.
You didn't shoot it yet, but the script.
Oh, the script.
You just said it was done, and I was like, what?
Oh, the script is done. Okay. I'm hoping to shoot first half of next year at some point.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And I have to say, so if you go to the A24 website, you can order all sorts of products. They have the hand from the movie. I didn't realize it's a bong.
It's a bong. Yeah.
I didn't know that. I thought it was
like out of the finger.
Yeah. I just thought it was the prop from the movie. It's screen accurate.
Yeah. So awesome.
Congratulations. See you all. What's your name and what's your question?
My name is Jennifer, obviously. And my question, so let's say I have some money, like 50, 100 friends or whatever. I don't have friends. I have pretty like low ego, so I don't, how do I find people who don't treat me just like a bag of money? Because I'm not interested in like red carpets and like stuff like that. I just want people I want to do stuff with together,
So you have money, so that makes you a producer, effectively.
Yeah.
Advice for Jennifer.
I'll chime in on this one. Find people that have the same kind of interests you do. It doesn't have to be related to film, it could just be in that realm. because the way I met Chris,
No, we're good.
so the way I met Chris was I was in the game development space, and Chris, of course, was covering video game journalism through G4. So the way I actually ended up working on Attack of the Dock years after we met was through that common thread. So it may take some time to build that, but I would say that's the way it worked for me. I imagine some other people may have a better story for that.
Well, I think more alcohol has been consumed between the three of us.
Oh, yeah.
You know, just hanging out, and that helps people you like to hang out with. And I would use Inktip. I think Inktip, because you're a producer, you have a project you can make for a certain level. That's a way to connect with material, something that speaks to you, something that you feel strongly and passionately about. So I hope that helps. Did you have yeah, okay. Unfortunately, we gotta thank you, Jennifer. Big round of applause for Jennifer. We'll talk in the hall.
Yeah, we have 10
Let's
minutes.
see your question. Your name.
My name is Becky, and my question is, how do you earn the respect of your cast, your crew, investors, donors, and ultimately your audience?
Wow, great question from Becky. Anyone?
Be honest.
Yeah.
About everything. Your vision, the money, how things are fucked up, everything.
And I will say this, I think you'll find more honesty in indie film than Hollywood. I think we live in a time where we crave truth and honesty, and having people who can be honest with you, like, hey, sun is gonna go down at 6:30, we got 30 minutes to get that shot. You need people to tell you the truth and be honest with you on a film set in order to get your projects completed. I feel just people who work in the indie film space to be more honest, more fun to be around, and I feel corporate filmmaking, there's a reason I think Hollywood's on hard times, and it's for those reasons, just too corporate. Other advice here, Bobby Weaknesses?
Yeah, I agree with your sentiment of like specifically in the moment of like you said, we're running out of daylight. Can we get the shot? If you're working with people that just tell you what you want to hear, you're not going to get the shot because they'll tell you that we can, and then now you're wasting time and money so yeah, definitely like working with people who will be brutally honest with you will not only allow you to like complete your project, but it'll actually, the quality of it will be better too. Because everybody will be holding each other to like a high standard. Yeah.
That said, never give up your vision.
Yeah.
They have to rip the camera from my cold dead hands every time I'm shooting, even a commercial. Like, and they always tell you can't do this, you can't do that. I'm like, okay. And then you show them, you don't tell them.
And don't be afraid to wear as many hats as you need to on an indie set. You know, if you're the director of something and you need to move a light stand or a light pole, or you need to do 2 things at once, 3 things at once, 4 things at once, you need to apply makeup to someone's face. Try to master as many things as you can and show people with your enthusiasm, your effort, your drive, your push. That comes off, it's naturally likable, and it will encourage everyone to follow that kind of lead. And you don't really need to do anything but be yourself in that regard.
Let's give Becky a big round of applause. Thank you so much.